What's going on, everybody? I am Michael Anthony, and today I'm going to be talking to you about natural light. Guys, natural light is an incredible tool, and too many photographers today look at natural light as something that makes you not professional. And in reality, natural light is an easy tool to work with, and you can take amazing photos with it without using flash. Now, I'm not saying you should not know how to use flash. Obviously, you absolutely have to learn how to utilize all types of light. But when you're working with clients, one of the best things that you can do for your clients is to focus on their experience, and that means messing less with your equipment and interacting more with them, if that makes sense. So that's why during a shoot, we typically use natural light about 80 to 90% of the time, and we only bring out our flash when we want those uber creative shots, right? Those things that are gonna be dark and dramatic with multiple light sources, and we're only taking a couple photos from a session like that, okay? But the rest of them are gonna be natural light, brighter, prettier, and it usually will fall in line with what many of our clients are looking for. So that way you're kind of hitting on multiple styles. So that being said, I've got 3 tips for you today that will help make your natural light images look amazing and professional and polished. Tip number 1 is going to be to look for reflective light sources within your scene. So what does that mean? Now, that means if you're out there in an urban environment, you're looking for things like buildings that have neutral tones in it that you can reflect light off of and make sure that that light is filling your subject's face with. So when you can find that, you're actually kind of creating a softbox out of the natural light that is already there. Now, what do you do if there is just no natural light source available for you to find and reflect off of? Well, that is a perfect opportunity to bring a reflector with you. Most of the time, I opt to use a large reflector, and I'll have an assistant working it if I can. And if that's the case, I'm looking to use the white side. And usually if you're using the white side of a reflector, you have to be pretty close to your subject in order to get that light to really fill in and show up. Now, if you can't get that close to your subject, then you'll use the silver side. And what the silver side is going to do is it's going to give you more of a specular light, and the white side is going to give you more of a diffused kind of flat light, which generally will look better for portraits in most cases with your clients. Tip number 2 is to find a dark background. Now, why do I say that? A lot of times when you guys see natural light images and the backgrounds are blown out or they have lost highlight detail, that can look like an amateur took that photograph, right? What we want to do is we want to have good highlight control and good light control all around of our images, and that means generally finding a background that's going to be darker in nature and putting your subject against that background so they can stand out amongst it. Now, when you do that, you create a bright point of contrast where that dark background meets your subject, and generally the eye of your viewer will go to the center where your subject is. A lot of times people like to look at photography as art, right? And we bring it back to the days of the Renaissance art period. And what I mean by that is a lot of times those artists would use highlight and shadow, and they do that to direct the attention of the viewer directly to the subject in a frame. Now, let's just say your style is more brighter, airy, pretty. That's fine. You don't want to have blown highlights though. You want to just at least make sure that your subject is as bright as the brightest part of the background rather than, letting that background blow out. That's gonna bring me to my last tip. My last tip is to not be afraid of the sun. Guys, sunlight can be beautiful. Now, the one reason why a lot of people are afraid to use sun is because they're not skilled in using light and shadow and positioning the light to produce flattering photographs. See, when you're working with the sun, your leeway for mistakes is much smaller, right? And the reason for that is because if the face is turned just slightly to one way or the other, it might cast a shadow that's going to be distracting to a photo, right? So what I like to do when working in direct sun is I like to point my subject's nose directly toward the sunlight, and what that's going to do is it's going to fill in the face nicely and cast good highlight to shadow transition that's going to look generally pleasing in photographs, okay? So when you're out there and you're looking for sunlight, obviously all the other rules still apply. You're going to want to find a darker background, and then one of the things you can do to make that image look amazing if you're looking for something a little more darker and moody is to expose for your highlights. By doing that, you're going to retain your highlight detail, but then your background's going to get even darker, and you're going to have that kind of moody background with that bright spot on your subject, and it can lead to some really beautiful photographs. When you're editing these images, if you follow these rules and you create a darker background in camera, when you get into post-production, dodging and burning will be as easy as moving the highlight and the shadow slider as opposed to having to go and do a lot of brush work. So by utilizing good light, we can actually edit the images a lot quicker. And by the way, if you guys like the way these images are edited and you want to learn how to edit better, we have a free webinar on my 7 secrets for cinematic edits. Go ahead and click the link down in the description below, and it'll take you to the registration page. You could sign up for a time that works good for you, and you can learn my tips for free. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed these tips. If you did, go ahead and leave me a thumbs up and a comment down below. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm, so we really do appreciate it. Thank you all so much, and we will catch you on the next one.